Welcome to today's lesson. Today again we are going to look at organic chemistry, a flowchart that summarizes some of the major steps in this topic. And the question we have reads, study the flowchart below and answer the questions that follow. The flowchart begins from this hydrocarbon, and remember a hydrocarbon is a compound that is made up of carbon and hydrogen. We have C12, H26, and this hydrocarbon is being split into two. That is a hydrocarbon with 9 carbon atoms and 20 hydrogen atoms. And again we have the one that has 3 carbon atoms and 6 hydrogen atoms. And in this case now we have to begin from this point, and the splitting of the larger hydrocarbon into smaller ones is what we call cracking. So the process here is cracking, and let us see how it's going to be. We have C12, H26, we minus the C9, H20, and this one is going to give us C12 minus C9, we have C3, then H26 minus H20, it gives us H6, and that is the compound we have here. We call it propene. We call it propene. Now, let us now move again. We have the two hydrocarbons, which is nonane and propene. And remember, anytime we are splitting a longer or a bigger alkane, it gives us an alkane and an alkene. Now, we have this alkane being burnt in air, and remember, anytime we are burning an alkane, or generally an organic compound, we expect only two products. That is, we expect carbon dioxide and water in this case. Now we are at this point where we have propene, and propene is reacting with hydrogen bromide to give us M. Then of course propene reacting with chlorine to give us N, and propene reacting with going through step 3 to give us propane. Now let us go through the questions. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Part A, name the process labeled in the steps above. We have step 1, and if you look at step 1, we have step 1. Step 1 is here. This is step 1, and you can see step 1 is clearly cracking of alkanes. Then we have step 2, and step 2 is where we have propene giving us propane. And if you look at the two compounds, you realize each of them has 3 carbon atoms, and the hydrogen atoms have moved from 6 to 8. We can do it here. That is C3H8. Then we have C3H6. Remember, when you C3 minus C3, you get nothing. Then H8 minus H6, you get H2, which is hydrogen. And therefore, hydrogen has been added to propene to give us propane, and the process is known as hydrogenation. The process is known as hydrogenation. Next, we have part B, which says, study the physical condition required for step 1 to occur. Step 1 is cracking, and the cracking is done either by use of a catalyst or through the use of heat. But now heat is what we call the physical condition, and in this case you need high temperatures of around between 400 degrees Celsius to 700. So the physical condition here is high temperature, which is of course ranging from around 400 to a temperature of around 700 degrees Celsius. Next we have this question here. Name the reagent and state the conditions required for step 2 to occur. For step 2 to occur, step 2 is hydrogenation, and hydrogenation requires number 1, the reagent. The reagent is hydrogen, and the condition here, the condition in this case, it should be done in the presence of a catalyst, and the catalyst here is nickel catalyst. Nickel catalyst. And of course we need also temperature. We need the temperature of between 150 degrees Celsius to a temperature of around 250 degrees Celsius. What else have we not done? We have already exhausted the questions, so let us go up and look at how substances M and N were formed. In this case now, let us look at how M was formed. We have C, we have Cc, that is 3 carbon atoms, but remember there is a double bond somewhere, so we are going to have H. We also have H here. Remember we have 6 hydrogen atoms, then we have 1, 2, 3. We are going to react this with hydrogen bromide, that is hydrogen bromide. So what hydrogen bromide will do, it will come and break this double bond, and then we are going to have this bond coming here, so that we have now C. The double bond comes here to take up this hydrogen here. Remember we have H, we have H, and remember now we have 1 hydrogen here. Then of course the bromide part will simply come and attach itself there, such that we have now what we call bromopropane. This one is bromopropane, though we were not asked about that. Then we have propene also reacting with chlorine in the same way. Let me show it here. We have C. The double bond is somewhere here. We have the 6 hydrogen atoms. This is 3 already. We have 1, and of course chlorine here. Then of course this is where the reaction takes place, and chlorine reacts with propene by breaking the double bond. The double bond will simply shift here, such that we are going to have chlorine attaching itself here and another one attaching itself here, such that we are going to have now, we are going to have C. We have hydrogen. This one is hydrogen. We have chlorine here, then hydrogen. So that's what we call 1,2-dichloropropane. Is there anything that we have left out? I don't think so. Thank you for watching, and welcome to the channel.